Good morning, and welcome. My name is Mark Schroeder. I'm the Commissioner of the Department of Motor Vehicles. I also serve as the Chair of the Governor's Traffic and Safety Committee. I was in the New York State Assembly for 7 years, and I can remember members of the Assembly from Albany and from New York City would say to me, "Happy St. Patrick's Day," and I would say, "No such thing." And they would look at me with astonishment, and I would say, "It's Happy St. Patrick's Month." It starts with the Shamrock Run about the first week of March, and it goes all the way through the month of March. So we're happy that you're all here with us. I always like to talk about our governor. She sends her regards. I was with her earlier this week in Albany. Governor Kathy Hochul, you may know, she is the only woman governor in New York State history. You also may know she is the second governor from Buffalo, New York. The first one was Grover Cleveland. What you may not know is Governor Kathy Hochul is the only governor in New York State history who actually has run a DMV. She ran one of the largest DMVs in upstate New York. So she understands this day and she understands what we're doing here. She also, her grandparents came from County Kerry, and they also in Ireland, and they also are founding members of the Buffalo Irish Center in South Buffalo. Please allow me to introduce who's with me today. Buffalo Police Commissioner Joseph Gramaglia, Erie County Sheriff John Garcia, Monroe County Stop DWI Coordinator Lindsay Tomedy, who is also the chairperson of the State Stop DWI Association. And we also have with us Dr. Liam Knott, who is the Grand Marshal of this beautiful parade that will be on Sunday. You'll be hearing from them in a few minutes. Too many around the world, and here in Buffalo, St. Patrick's Day is a time for a celebration of rich Irish heritage, so that many of us can enjoy it. I'm reminded the first bishop of Buffalo, Bishop John Timon, who was here in the 1850s and 1860s, he would remind his parishioners in a sermon that it's just not about dyeing your hair green or drinking green beer. It's to know your Irish heritage, and I think that's important. It also has become a time when some choose to celebrate with a drink or several drinks. We at DMV and GTSC have been taking an aggressive approach to end impaired driving and make our streets safer for everyone. Among the most important components of that approach is reminding people that they need to take responsibility for their safety and the safety of others around them. It all comes down to having a plan. There was an old adage, plan your work, work your plan. You need to have a plan to get yourself home safely at the end of your celebration. There are so many ways to do that now, whether it's having a designated driver or making sure that you've got a taxi company signed up or Uber and Lyft. My law enforcement friends, the rank and file, know this story. I'm just going to tell it briefly. But long before I was an elected official, or long before I was the commissioner of DMV, I was motivated by this type of information, by MAD, Mothers Against Drunk Drivers. I listened to what they were saying. And back in 1985, before Uber, before Lyft, before any of that, I was motivated by what they said. And so I was running in the Shamrock Run. And so I got a ride to the Shamrock Run. I ran the run, and then what do you do after the run? You have a few beers, right? So that's what I did. But I didn't have a car down there. So the plan was, my wife was in an Irish band. She was playing down there. I was gonna go home with her. So I got to her and I said, "Okay, Kate, we ready to go?" She goes, "We're way late here. We haven't even gone on yet." I said, "Kate, there's no way that I'm waiting around for 3 more hours. I'm going back home to South Buffalo." She goes, "How are you going to do that?" I said, "Don't worry." I walked about a half a mile up, and there was a pizzeria, Avenue Pizzeria. And I walked in and I said, is the manager here? Yeah, manager came and I said, hey, my name is Mark. Do you deliver to South Buffalo? It was about 4 miles away. Do you deliver to South Buffalo? He goes, yeah, of course we do. I said, great. I'd like to order a large pizza, cheese and pepperoni, and I'd like for you to deliver my pizza and me home. And I said, it'll be the best tip your driver ever got. So they put me in the little Vega. It's like a 1977 Vega. They put 4 pizzas on my lap, and we went through the neighborhoods, and they dropped me off home, and this guy got a good tip. Plan a way home safely. It matters. It matters. And in this day and age, back then I didn't have a cell phone. Back then there was no Uber or Lyft. Figure out a way. Another part of our aggressive approach to safety is providing opportunities for law enforcement to increase patrols during periods when there is more potential for impaired drivers and to be on the road. Periods like the week between Christmas and New Year, Memorial Day, 4th of July, and days around St. Patrick's Day. During this period last year, law enforcement statewide wrote almost 1,000 tickets for impaired driving, almost 200 for distracting driving, and almost 5,000 for speeding. So here with me today, I'd like to first introduce our Buffalo Police Commissioner. The city of Buffalo was incorporated in 1832, and so Joseph Gramaglia is the 42nd police commissioner in our history, and I'm real proud to have him here today with us.
Thank you, sir. I got to say that was probably one of the greatest stories I've heard. That's a really a smart way to call it on the fly. So we have a parade weekend. It's a big weekend in the city of Buffalo. We've got the Old First Ward Parade. We've got the main parade here on Delaware Avenue. Significant events. We ask everybody coming down to both parades, come down, enjoy yourselves, be a part of the celebration. But we're asking you to plan ahead, be smart. We want you to be aware of your surroundings. We're asking everyone, of course, to behave while they enjoy themselves. But as was said here, plan your ride. Plan your ride to, plan your ride from. We are going to have roving patrols out, DWI patrols out, Stop DWI funds, overtime efforts by police agencies, including the Buffalo Police Department. We will be out making arrests, but keep in mind, we don't want to make arrests. We will. But you have the potential of impacting many lives if you make the wrong decision any day of the week, especially this weekend. If you are involved in an accident and you hit someone, you kill somebody, both of your lives, those family lives are all affected, and it is totally preventable. So we're asking you to come down, enjoy yourself, but be smart, plan ahead, and if you catch yourself in a jam that you don't have a ride home, then you're going to have that contingency plan in mind, but whatever you do, do not get behind the wheel of a car. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Commissioner. And only in Buffalo, New York, do we have 2 parades. And so you have an awful lot of work to do this weekend, and we want you to be out there and be safe. And thank you for your comments. The Erie County was incorporated in 1821, and we've had a sheriff all the way through. So the 54th sheriff of Erie County is John Garcia, and we're very, very happy and proud that he's here with us today.
Thank you, Commissioner Schroeder, and we have a great partner in Albany. We have a great partner at Buffalo with Commissioner Gramaglia. The weather did break, spring forward. It's going to be beautiful for the First Ward Parade, for the Delaware Parade, and with that comes a lot of people out. It's important if you're walking, it's important if you're driving, to be seen. Don't take for granted that if you're walking out, crossing the street, that the driver's going to see you. It's all about being seen and being careful. This is a time that we celebrate St. Patrick, and shortly after St. Joseph's Day. There's a lot of people out. What the mistake you can make could change your life and that of others. We have seen people in very bad car accidents where their lives have changed forever. We don't want that to happen. When we're telling you ahead of time that we're going to be out there enforcing it, there's a reason for it. Our job is to prevent crime and to prevent accidents. So we're telling you that the state troopers are going to be out, the Erie County Sheriff's Office is going to be out, Buffalo Police, and all the local agencies are going to be out. Why? Because we're protecting the public. Pedestrians, drivers, don't be irresponsible. As Commissioner Schroeder said, we have choices now. We have ride sharing, Uber, Lyft. If for some reason you're with someone and you see that person is unable to drive, take care of your friend, take care of your family member. Ensure that person doesn't get behind the wheel. Otherwise, let's have a great weekend. I'm looking forward to it. We have a great St. Patrick's Day parade in the First Ward and a historic one here in Buffalo, and to all the great Irish Americans that made this city great and this county great, I just want to say congratulations. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks, Sheriff Garcia, and thank you for your leadership. And I hope all of your sheriffs are safe. This weekend for both of the parades. There's also an educational component, particularly through partnerships with Stop DWI programs around the state. There are so many options for people to take advantage to get home if they've been part of celebrations that involve alcohol. It all boils down to taking responsibility for your safety and the safety of others, and making plans to get home safely. Stop DWI has an app that allows people to connect with taxi and ride-sharing companies, to program a designated driver contact list, or to connect with local authorities to report an impaired driver. Now, here is Lindsay Tomedy. I'm going to bring her up. She's the president of the state Stop DWI Association, and someone who knows directly the impact of impaired driving on a family. Lindsay?
Thank you. Thank you for having me. First, I want to thank the local Stop DWI coordinator, John Sullivan, for asking me to stop out today and speak on behalf of the Stop DWI Association. But in my eyes, more importantly, also from the victim perspective. Unfortunately, in April of 2001, a very, very red-headed Ryan Patrick made a very, very irresponsible and stupid choice and chose himself to drive impaired when he was 17. I now, 23 years later, stand as his sisters that was left behind. So I'm very proud of the fact that I've been able to do something positive after the choice that he made, and able to bring awareness to the reason that you need to have that plan, but also the reason that you have to have that plan before you get down here, before you start consuming alcohol, before you consume other drugs or potentially a combination. I sat through some presentations yesterday, and one of the statistics that really jumped out at me is nationally we see upwards of 13,000 fatalities from impaired driving. It still is 30% of all traffic fatalities, despite, again, all of the choices that have been talked about already. And with that, we do a lot with statistics in our job, and obviously that number itself is very glaring. But the woman from NHTSA who was sharing the information shared that recently we've seen an uptick in aggravated DWI. And nationally, we see that over 9,000 DWI fatalities and 9,000 arrests, crashes, however we come across these people, are at a blood alcohol content of 0.16 or higher. So these are people that, we've all probably potentially had some drinks, and I can't imagine even being able to get in the car, let alone drive it at that level, but we see it heavily, very heavily. So I think that speaks to how once you become impaired, you may have that plan, but when you become impaired, as was mentioned, making sure that your friends are not changing that plan, not making different decisions. Everyone thinks they're invincible until unfortunately they're not. And I can speak to the fact that my brother was 17. He was supposed to attend Fredonia, so kind of here on the Western New York side of things. He had his whole life ahead of him. He never, ever in a million years woke up that day saying, you know what, I think today's the day. I'm going to drive impaired and put my life at risk. But he did. He made the wrong choice, and because of that, I have had many years of what that looks like for me as the sister that got left behind. So I thank everyone for having me, and I hope everyone enjoys their celebrations, but does so responsibly.
Thank you, Lindsay. And I know it's difficult to talk about that experience, but I think it is most helpful to the audience so that they understand the severity of what could happen if you make bad choices. Impaired driving is 100% preventable. Sheriff Garcia said it, our police commissioner said it, and it's true. So it's our hope that we can put an end to impaired driving crashes through these awareness, education, and enforcement programs. We all know how important St. Patrick's Day parade is to this community and how important it is to remember what this day and celebration are about. So I'm very happy to introduce the parade grand marshal of St. Patrick's Day Parade, Downtown Parade, Dr. Liam Knott, to share a few words with us. Liam?
Thank you for having me. I, like many people in Buffalo, are very proud of their Irish American heritage and all the sacrifices our grandparents made to come here. It's been a privilege of mine to work with the United Irish American Association and to help put on this parade for many years now. I'm very humbled and honored at the opportunity to be the Grand Marshal of this year's parade, so that everybody remembers that this whole event, this whole weekend, for as much as it's fun, it's a time for us to honor our past, honor our heritage, and it's a family event, so we hope everyone comes out, does so safely, has a good time, but then gets home safely. So thank you all for having me.
Liam, thank you very much for being with us, and congratulations to you and your family. I know they're so very proud of you, and we are too. So in closing, let me just say thank you to all of our speakers for being here today. Thank you also to our friends, and I mean this, thank you to our friends in the media. Thank you for being here with us today, because it's important for us to get the message out, and this is the best and easiest and fastest way to do it. So thank you very, very much. We will now be open for any questions that you might have, or if you have an interest in interviewing individually any of us, we certainly would be willing to talk with you. Any questions or observations? Yeah, I would say historically, what happens here in Buffalo, even if you start with the Shamrock Run, if it's a beautiful, glorious day, you may have a lot more people out. If it's a day that's cold and snowy, you're still going to get the diehards out, but there are some people who may stay at home. So I don't know what the weather forecast is, but I'm hearing that it looks like it should be a good weekend here, starting with the Civic Lunch tomorrow in South Buffalo at the Buffalo Irish Center, and then with the Old Parade and the Old Neighborhood Parade in the Valley in the Old First Ward, and then the St. Patrick's Day Parade. So I think we're going to have a lot of people, and this is the reason why I am so grateful to my partners here, law enforcement partners. We at DMV and GTSC, we work very closely with them every day, just not today, but it's important for them to be here. They're known and they're recognized within the community. And as the commissioner said, it's not a threat. The fact is, there are going to be patrols out, and so people should know that, when they plan this weekend, to be careful and be safe, and to go back to the old days of walking. Walk a little bit. Don't get in a car. Anybody else?
Really nothing mentioned about driving while impaired on marijuana. Is this legal now? They're smoking it like crazy. I am just smoking along the way, getting behind the
Yeah. No, I think that's a good point. And so the only thing I can tell you is that DMV and the Governor's Traffic and Safety Committee, we have been working closely with law enforcement even before we knew what was going to happen with cannabis. The fact is that we have nearly 500 DREs, Owen, what's the term? Drug recognition experts. There's 500 of them, and they are trained, and we help train them. I would liken it to maybe taking a bar exam or taking a 3-part of a CPA exam. It's intense work, and so these DREs, drug recognition experts, they are working with law enforcement locally and across New York State. And so you're right. And the reason why we're working with them is so that they can recognize what's happening when people are impaired with either alcohol or with cannabis. So we're doing our best to also be able to communicate with people as well. Thank you. Anybody else? Okay, thank you so much. Thanks for being here today.